ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Cropper here. Hopefully that music's not copyrighted. Everything I try is copyrighted. Oh, I probably shouldn't have shown that. Maybe that's him. Give me a strike. They give me another strike. I just showed 15 seconds of some Andre Rieu to introduce one of my videos. And they blocked it. Bastards. This is 15 seconds too. It's not the whole damn video. But you can't show copyrighted video. All right. I should have invited people on before I got this started, but I did want to have, oops, that's not what I meant to do. I did want to have a few minutes to say a couple things. This Hangout is for international people. Everybody's welcome, though. I'm doing it because somebody internationally, somebody over in somewhere, Europe or something, Germany, I think, said, "Oh, Mr. Cropper, I can never come on. It's always the middle of the day or the middle of the night or whatever it is." I said, okay, maybe I'll do one in the middle of middle of my day. So I always start them at like midnight. So this is a Mr. Cropper Hangout, probably the last one. Yep, they end tomorrow. So this is the last and only. So if you're an internationalist, if you're somewhere outside the United States of America, then this is your Hangout. This is the only one because they end tomorrow. Somebody said they're not going away for another 2 months, but mine says they end tomorrow. All right, so the join button is everywhere. Okay. Now, what has been going on? Let's see. Oh, I've done a bunch of new videos today, huh? Oh, that's right. There was a comment on one of my videos. Oh, this is hilarious. Oh, let's finish watching this real quick. What's going on? Wait.
Dishonest and stupid you are as a person. But to answer this question, first, you are dropping context. Rucka and I were never friends. I thought I could use Rucka to reach a bigger audience, and I thought that I could help Rucka become a more honest person. But if you have been paying attention, Rucka clearly is too emotional to be as honest as an honest person like myself. So Rucka and I were never friends. Secondly, to answer the question, are there any other internet celebs that I would be willing to collab with? I don't know of any off the top of my head, although I've always been a fan of Lacey Green, and I would be interested in collabing with Lacey because, well, I don't know this for certain. She strikes me as someone who has a big, beautiful butt, and if you have been paying attention, you will know that I'm a...
Wait, I didn't screen share. You guys are looking at my stupid face while I'm watching this thing. That's stupid.
Huge fan of huge butts, but again, I do not know this because Lacey only makes videos where you see her from her big, beautiful breasts up, so I don't know for sure if she has a big butt, but based on what I've seen and based on the evidence, I think there is a high chance, a good chance, that Lacey Green has a huge, beautiful butt.
All right, that was kind of funny. I thought I was the only one annoyed by a Christmas blanket. There's my comment that I left earlier. Why is this so accurate? Please, for the love of God, make more. I need a good laugh, and you don't write songs fast enough. Now, this is on Rucka Reacts channel, and that is, what's his name? Is his name Chandler? No, it's not, is it? What's his name? Luke, right? I watch his videos. I watch his damn videos. What's his name? Oh well, somebody put it in the comments. What's that? What's this guy's name? He calls himself Chandler2.
Hello, everyone. My name is Chandler2, and that is T as in Tango, W as in Whiskey, and O as in Objectivism.
Nice. All right. That's funny. Okay, so this. No, that's not the one. All right. Where is it? I'm going to have to open it up in a new thing. Kirk Wilcox. It's Kirk. Kirk, that's you in the video, right? Good stuff. All right, now I had somebody left a comment on, maybe it's, oh, there we go. Is any of these? No, it's not there. All right, I'm gonna have to open a new window for it. So someone left a comment on my recent video that I thought I had open. And I'm just going to address it because I haven't addressed it yet. Ed Powell leaves the comment on altruism and irrationality, 1 of 2. And I've already replied to him in short here. I think it's ahistorical to claim that all these other societies were examples of altruism. Philosophically, altruism is a principled theory of ethics such that the beneficiary of any action should be someone other than the actor. No society before the 20th century held this as their ethics. True, Ed Powell, that is true. Pardon me. However, in thinking about these things, without even explicitly having that cross my mind, years ago, thinking about these things, it was very strange to me that every single society that I learned about through anthropology was sacrificial, like in a literal sense, okay? Like actually cutting people's hearts out and stuff like that, like burning children, like human sacrifice, literally altruistic in the worst possible way, okay? So the question simply occurs: why every single society that we know of, that we have any evidence about, that we have writings of, that we know about their culture and their practices, why is 100% of them have this idea of sacrificing the individual for whatever? Some sacrifice to the state or God or society. But he objects to me saying this because it wasn't principled universal sacrifice all the time. So the only type of society we could call an altruistic society then would be Soviet Russia or Nazi Germany or something like that then, according to him, I guess. But I think that we can say the other societies were partially altruistic, that is self-sacrificial. My point is to say, if they would have been altruistic by whatever way you define it, how would that be different from the way that they actually were insofar as they were irrational? That's my point, that there's no difference. There's no difference between them. Now, you can say that we identified altruism in the 1800s and defined it in the 1800s, fine. But does that mean the phenomenon failed to exist before that? What if I said that the Egyptians dealt with very heavy stones, and you say, well, Mr. Cropper, before Isaac Newton, no one had identified gravity. These stones weren't necessarily heavy for these people. They didn't identify them that way, right? It doesn't matter whether they identified it as altruism or not. They believed that the individual should be sacrificed to the group in one way or another. All right, Ed Powell. Now, he's an objectivist. I don't think we disagree really on this. That's why I'm putting this idea out there, though, is to let all objectivists know that altruism and irrationality are identical. And I went painfully through, not painfully, but I went to pains to go slowly through every sentence that was suggested to me where it might be that Rand had it. I can't think off the top of my mind where she says it. Over the last 10 years, I've looked for it and haven't found it, and I still haven't found it, where she says that altruism and irrationality are an identical phenomenon. I myself can't find how they're different. All right. I tend to believe he's going now him. I tend to believe the idea of non-sacrificial life was unknown until Rand. All right. So everyone thought it's sacrifice others to yourself or yourself to others, right? The idea of self-sacrificial existence never occurs to them. Okay. So they chose sacrifice. Why? That's my question, Ed Powell. Why? Why does every single society end up choosing some sort of irrational self-sacrificial code, right? Now he says, but they're not completely self-sacrificial all the time. All right. Now, are you a bit of a D-type, Ed? Can we not connect any two thoughts together and then move forward? Okay. Oh, of course, they didn't all just commit suicide. That's why we exist today, because they went on living their lives. But of course, they weren't free capitalist enterprises, right? They were slavery, and there was all kinds of things in ancient Rome, right? So what are you, just a D-type? Be careful not to be a D-type and just knock down any argument anybody makes or any thought that anybody has by saying, well, not all the time. Okay, now let's go. So Ed Powell, I think we're done there. He says breaking through is a cultural mind block that's difficult for people to give up the idea of self-sacrifice. All right, but why is that the default? So you're just making my case for me, Ed. This is the default position, okay? There's a cultural mind block that's difficult to break through, and it makes the default decision self-sacrifice. Both religious self-sacrifice, secular self-sacrifice, state self-sacrifice, all of these come from a cultural mind block that's difficult to break, okay? I'm making the case that that cultural mind block is irrationality as such, or as Ayn Rand said, the act of fogging out, of not thinking, of not focusing. All right, that is what I say the case is. Ed, I don't think that you've done damage to my thesis here. Now, Klauvik Razpuzazelnik, who we will call Nick, says, every altruist action by objectivist definition is irrational. Okay. So, is the claim that I'm making, altruism and irrational identical, is the claim that I'm making pretty weak? If so, why does it surprise so many objectivists? I think it's a strong claim. All right? So he's just going to agree with me. Nick's just going to say right here, all altruist action is irrational. He's just going to agree right here. Okay, however, so here comes a D2 type. Watch this. Egoist doesn't always come together with being rational. Now, he must not be a D2 type or he wouldn't be an objectivist. So I'm just pointing out a flaw in his argument here, Nick. A D2 type would really stick with this here, this next bit that I haven't read yet. This would be a D2 type's go-to thing. They wouldn't say any of this here to begin with, and they'd have no foot to stand on to argue further. They would simply argue this here. Every baby is born absolutely egoist, but none of them is rational as babies. Okay, well, I guess I'm just going to dismiss you by saying my theory is not about babies. My theory is about how the rational mind works. Human beings, we do not exist as babies. Babies are helpless. They are helpless without their mother. Okay, so you bringing up babies is like Ari Armstrong bringing up spiders and saying some spiders lay down and then their young eat their body. Therefore, selfishness is disproven as Rand's ethics. You know, that's ridiculous. And bringing up a baby and saying that babies do whatever, and therefore some conclusion about altruistic action or egoism, that's right, it's a conclusion about egoism. Egoism doesn't come with rationality. Let me just say then that it does. Egoism always comes with rationality. Babies are not egoist because they're not rational. In what way is a baby egoist? In what way does he go about independently, being productive and proud of himself? That's ridiculous. A baby's learning about the world. If the baby is raised correctly with the right philosophy and so on, he can become an egoist someday when he has an independent mind and thinks for himself and understands the world and isn't constantly questioning his dad about things like, Dad, what's a rail? And his dad says, handrail, son. That's just this thing we hold here. Oh, okay. When he doesn't have a billion questions like that about himself, maybe he'll become an egoist. So no, babies are not egoists. Egoism always comes together with being rational. All right, done with that. Done with those comments. Kirk Wilcox says Chandler too. Why do you say that? Who's that guy's name? Is it Kirk? That's Kirk. It was Kirk in that video. I know you, Kirk. Okay, well, this is ostensibly a hangout for people who want to hang out around the world. I don't know how many of you there are, but you're not showing up very fast here. I didn't give anybody any fair warning. Did I share this on Facebook? Maybe I should share it on Facebook. That would be an ostensibly reasonable thing to do. Let's see. Somebody said that vaping is worse. Oh, I did put it on. I'm sure I put it on Facebook now that I go here. That vaping is worse than tobacco. And I actually waited to start vaping for years because I was afraid of that. And after about 5 years of it being all the rage, then I finally went and got one and tried it. Just to have, because I smoked a few cigarettes now and again in high school. What I had was an antler pipe made out of deer antler. And I bought a pouch of tobacco from time to time, and I put a pinch of that in there, and I'd smoke my pipe when everybody else would light their stupid cigarettes. Because I if I was gonna do it, I was gonna do it my way or in style or something different. I wasn't gonna fit in with the crowd. I abhorred the crowd. Whenever the Cowboys got together, and I was part of the Cowboy group, I was always the guy who would say something about philosophy or intellectualism or something. And whenever the intellectuals got together and were doing their thing, I was always the guy with beer or something like that. So I was always saying, nope, not going to fit in your group because, look, I got something better than what your stupid group's doing. I'm going to do everything your group's doing, except I'm going to do my thing different than you, and I'm going to say your group's stupid. I always did that. I always had a thing. So when people were smoking their cigarettes, I would smoke my deer horn pipe. Now, why did I get off on that? Oh, I don't recall, but let's see. What can I ramble on about while I wait for? Now, if you want to join this hangout, and you're national, not international, then you're welcome as well. There was definitely stuff I had on my mind earlier I was gonna say in videos, and I can be saying it right now. I might as well be saying it, hashing a version of it through. What the hell? Oh, so this happened that was interesting. I got to go down to the car and get this piece of paper. It reminds me now. So this happened. I was at the park doing my paintings, selling my paintings. You'll notice I've got hardly any paintings behind me now. They're all in the car, and I take them, I lay them out at the park. And I was there doing my thing last night, and the park superintendent came by. Now, at first, I said, uh-oh, he's going to say, look, you need a permit, buddy. You can't just set up a store here. But instead, what he said was, do you have any paintings of the park? I'm the park superintendent. Now, I had a little thing on his shirt and stuff. And he was in a park uniform. I said, yeah, I do, right over here. And I had all together like 10 or 12. So I gathered them up and showed him. And he went and talked to people. And he gathered up money. He gathered up $10. Which is funny. That's fine. Comes back and he shows one of the medium canvases for $10. And then some lady who works at City Hall's with him. And she says to me, he's the park superintendent. Don't you think he's good for it? And when she said that, I jumped at it. I was like, yeah, choose a few canvases. Fine. Yeah, whoo, that scared me. Choose a few canvases. Yeah. And I'll give you an IOU for it, Don't worry about I know where to find him. And he's a government employee. I'm pretty sure they're going to come through with the money to a local artist. But additionally, she said that they had just chosen their artist of the month for Bristol, Connecticut. And it was some guy who they did because they had nobody else. She said, I wish we would have known about your paintings of the park here, because we like to do a Bristol artist who does Bristol stuff. Now, I live slightly outside of Bristol in the larger Bristol area. But this is a Bristol park that I was painting. So he bought the one, and then he took 2 more on an IOU, which I'll deliver to him. It was just last night. And he's there in the park all the time. I'm there in the park on nice sunny days. I'm here doing videos, incidentally, because it's raining outside and because I am not working for whatever reason. So I got these paintings sold to the park superintendent, who's going to hang them in his office at City Hall. And I'm now in a conversation with him, and he gave me the mayor's name, and I meant to email him, and then we're going to go from here about possibly doing more paintings or something. And yeah, so that's been exciting. That was you know, I thought my paintings are turning out pretty nice. I thought this weeks ago. That what can I do? What should I do about it? Well, I could take them down somewhere and set them up, and just sort of be painting or something and have them set up. I thought, yeah, but what are you going to do? Set up 5 paintings? I mean, that's just stupid, right? When it finally came to it, I just kept painting and stuff. And when it finally came to it, I went to the park and I discovered a place to do it. And like, there's a crowd of people, and like all the pieces of the puzzle were just starting to fit together. And so I started hauling my paintings out to the car, and there were just paintings everywhere, all over the house. I had stacks of paintings on every wall. And just when I got them all out in the car, I'd come back in and I'd find 10 or 20 more. And it just kept going until I had 80 paintings down at the park. So that has really been a surprise to me, that not only that I had that many paintings, I had no idea, but that people buy them, right? They buy weird ones. I've done videos on this. They buy the weirdest paintings. And then this weird thing happens where I'd do a real nice painting of the pathway in the park or something, and I'd set it there with my stuff, and then I'd pack up that night and go home. Nobody bought it. Come back the next day for a couple of hours. Nobody buys it. Come back a couple days later for a couple hours. Nobody buys it. And I start getting worried, right? This happened for 3 days. For 3 days straight, this really cute painting. 3 days that I went. I don't go every day. But on the 4th visit, on the 4th day I went to the park, someone finally bought it. And then I was like, oh, one of my best paintings is gone. Like, what does the whole body of work look like without what was the best painting? But it's, you know, there's still 70 paintings. So that's been fun. I worry about, you know, I'm trying to make sure that my skills as a painter grow while I'm there. But I do worry about the fact that I'm tempted to repaint paintings that sell, you know, because somebody liked it, it was good enough, so I should try to recapture something of that painting that sold. And so that's one thing I do, and I'm a little worried about that. Another thing I'm trying to do is to do copies, sort of a copy of great paintings that I find. And basically, if I look at a canvas by some painter from the 1800s and it's pretty good, then maybe I should try to capture whatever it is he did there, the arrangement or whatever. In fact, while I was doing the last Hangout, last night or the night before, I was doing these little watercolors of Isaac Levitan. And the one on this one is the one I was working on the last Hangout. And what I wanted to do there was capture the shadow of that on there. And I didn't do great. I did not do great. I need to darken it more. Or what I would do if this were oil or acrylic is I would lighten the field. This is pretty good, but this stump leaves a little to be desired. I want to darken the road a little bit there. The stump needs more detail, I'm afraid. And I went back and looked at the original again as I was criticizing this to myself. And his stump lacks a bit of detail too, I'm afraid. His stump is sort of there a bit. But he's not a world-renowned, enormously great painter. He's just Isaac Levitan, some Russian guy. Well, I'm doing a hangout for the international thing. I'm lost in my art. I should at least talk objectivism, shouldn't I? Well, how long shall I wait for international people to come on? Do national people want to come on? It's Wednesday, 4:44 in the afternoon. You know, this is sort of the danger of doing an afternoon hangout. Maybe I'm late. Maybe I should have done it 3 or 4 hours ago, or should do it in the morning. But the sort of danger is, like, it's hard to get 5 or 10 people together for a hangout, even if you start it at night when everybody has the time to do as they please. But in the middle of the day when people are at work and stuff, so I'm really counting on somebody around the world, to whoever it was that wanted to come on, that I should probably go look through my Facebook world and find it. Somebody messaged me or something like that. They didn't message me. They made a comment somewhere. I can't remember for the life of me who it was, though. There are people that are stressing out trying to become famous, and my little taste of fame has been to withdraw aggressively from it. To the extent that I'm famous and I get contacted by a lot of people, I immediately withdraw from the situation. Whoa, okay, all right. Like when I did that video against anarchism years ago, and all my videos got 100 views, and all of a sudden I get a video that's got 2,000 views, whatever it was, really, really fast, and then comments everywhere. All my other videos start getting comments, other videos start getting views. I stopped that. I quit that stuff real quick. Who wants all those idiots around? Good hell. What a mess. All right, well, let me screen share with you, and let's go look at stuff for a minute and see if we can wait for... This is the last day I get to do Hangouts, so I don't want to end this prematurely. I want to give somebody plenty of time to come on if they want to.
This rap shit is my fucking... It's what you hear it.
So that's all it is.
It's what you hear it.
You guys hear some pretty...
It's what you hear it. Listen.
Pretty wild stuff at the beginning. If you listen to the beginning of the song, I always start it right here at 18 seconds.
It's what you hear it. It's what you hear it. Listen. It's what you hear it. Listen. It's what you hear it. Listen. Getting busy with it.
Oh, and I've closed I should put on the other music now. I'll end up getting a strike. Heidi Sinclair has a thing. Right? So shotguns, Britain has shotguns, but that's it. Heidi Sinclair says the US is way more of a nanny state than the UK. And I say pointy knives are illegal in Britain. Rounded are okay. She says, nope, get your facts straight. So here's the quote from the Mayor of London. The Mayor of London tweeted, "No excuses. There's never any reason to carry a knife. Anyone who does will be caught, and they will feel the full force of the law." All right, that's what's going on in Britain. Then the Federalist.com has this Britain's knife control is a bad real-life parody of gun control. Heidi Sinclair says, sure, he's an idiot. Who? Khan is an idiot. We all know that. The law regarding knives is pretty much the same as in the US. No, in Britain, they have laws against pointy knives, which is insane. Just because that plonker Khan spouts off some soundbite doesn't change the law. Carrying a knife around with you, on you, is not the same as pointy knives are illegal in Britain. Coming from a country where you can be prosecuted for crossing a street illegally, I find this hilarious. All right, well, Britain's knife control. What is the Britain's knife control? I didn't just She just dismissed his tweet and said just because somebody tweeted something means nothing. Well, it's the mayor of London who tweeted something. He tweeted something about a law, and the Federalist has an article about the laws, the knife control laws. And she says, nope, don't worry about it, not true. What's your problem, Heidi? Carrying a knife around on you is not the same as pointy knives are illegal in Britain. No, that's true. I'm not saying that those are the same claims, but they are making pointy knives illegal, and carrying a knife around on you is legal. How does that disprove anything? Just to say that those aren't the same. Nobody ever said they were the same. You're not a very careful thinker, are you, Heidi? You're silly. You're a bit of a plonker, aren't you, Heidi? Look at this. Britain's knife control, Mayor of London. Oh, it's just a tweet. All right. You win, then. You win. Dan LePage. Dan LePage was with the... oh, look at this. Dan LePage is with the leftivists sometimes, I think. Maybe he's against them. I can't remember. I can't keep it all straight. But I'm pretty sure he was mad at me about something about open border. Or Trump or something. Look at this. Why would they use ISIS? Why would they bend over backwards to figure out a way to use ISIS? Now, I say it's an attempt to whitewash the name ISIS. So when you say ISIS, we don't think of the Middle East at all. It's just wiped out. ISIS means immigration settlement and integration services for settling and immigrating people. Because it's a vast industry now, immigration. ISIS, government. So that's why I'm against immigration right now, because it's a government boondoggle. Get rid of the government boondoggle and sure, we can have some more. That's why I'm afraid of it. So I'm against that. So I'm against immigration. This is Canadian, right? I think this is Canadian. Halifax, yeah, this is Canadian. That's what the Canadians do. They apparently changed the name, says Wayne Simmons. All right, well, that would be interesting if they did change the name. Oh, God, did I just friend a guy who's not any friends with anybody on my friend list? That was an accident. Let's see, should we see what's recently been going on? Democrats killed a lot of people in the South. All the lynchings were done by Democrats. Democrats have been very violent people. Maybe the Democrats need to pay reparations. Democrats owned slaves. Democrats started the Civil War. Democrats perpetuated the Civil War. Democrats ran Jim Crow laws. Democrats did the lynchings. Muslim jihadists massacre entire Christian village. No one was spared. Women, children, elderly. Who cares? Nobody cares. Right? Just some Christians. Just let the Muslims kill off the Christians. You know, everybody said the Muslims and the Christians can live peacefully side by side. Like when Egypt was having trouble. Everybody said, you know what? We don't have to have this. Everybody can just live together peacefully. Right? And what's happening now? They're piling up Christians in the streets. There are piles of Christian corpses in the streets in Egypt. They're killing them. They're killing people. There's the chance I'll vote Democrat. Somebody said, so the red one, it says also none but in red, that should say I may die, in which case I will probably vote Democrat. That should be the red slice, right? Because he says, so there's a zero, Ed Moreno, there's zero chance of death? Right. He's got a good point. So let's change that to the red is a percent of chance that I'll die by 2020. This picture is not a problem for Facebook. Couple of oh, why won't this? There it is. A couple of Arabs hanging a Jew. Not a problem. Does not violate Facebook community standards. Big surprise. Oh, now I posted this. Media silent about South Carolina church vandalized. The media should get on this. They're afraid of getting on it, though. The reason they should get on it is because it was a false flag operation. And it says false flag all over it, where right there it says God. Submit to God through Islam. That wouldn't be what they would say. It'd be submit to Allah through Islam. So that right there tells me that this was done by somebody other than Muslims. Now, can you imagine Christians using their religion to drive them so crazy that they would vandalize their own churches to make other people look bad? Yeah, I can believe that. All right, these are old things. Well, I would lose in a debate against veganism, JT Kills says. Why do you say that? What about Jordan Peterson's all meat diet? What if I just mentioned that as the thing? Well, gee, I'm not having anybody join me here very quick, am I? Well, I guess this will be the end of this hangout. Possibly the last hangout. If they really go away like they're saying they're going to tomorrow. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining me. It's been fun. I either started it too late or didn't give us enough notice. Maybe no, this is it. Tomorrow's August 1st. Hangouts are going away. Sorry if I started this too late.